What if I told you one of the most refreshing fruits on earth used to be mostly rind and disappointment? Watermelon is the official fruit of summer, family cookouts, and somehow every single picnic in human history. Every picture has a damn watermelon in it, besides this one, but the rest haven't. Today, watermelons are huge, sweet, and mostly water, which makes sense because it's literally in the name. I do appreciate our ancestors' honesty. They looked at this thing and said, it's melon, got water in it, it's watermelon. It's simple, straight to the point, and doesn't suck off Latin naming sequences like way too many people do. But here's the thing, watermelon you eat today is not the original watermelon, not even close, because thousands of years ago, watermelon looked completely different. They looked terrible. Watermelon originated in Africa thousands of years ago. The wild ancestors of modern watermelons were small, pale, and not nearly as sweet as the ones we know today. Some were even bitter. Imagine biting into a watermelon on a hot summer day. Instead of juicy sweetness, you get disappointment and regret. Also called eating a well-done burger. Ancient people looked at the first watermelon and thought, it technically worked, but here's where things gets interesting. In drier regions, the fruit's value wasn't necessarily its taste, it was the water. The inside of every watermelon contains moisture, making them incredibly useful for travelers and people living in hot climates. So before watermelons became dessert, they were basically edible canteen. And it makes sense. If you're wandering a dry desert, you'd want to keep water on you. And food that doubles as water is a lifesaver. Humanity has always been really good at looking at something mediocre and asking, but what if we made it better? And that's exactly what happened. Over thousands of years, people began selectively breeding watermelon. They picked fruits that were sweeter, fruits that had more flesh, fruits that were less bitter. Generation after generation, humans slowly transformed the strange African fruit into the watermelon we know today. At this point, selective breeding is basically humanity's superpower. We turn wolves into chihuahuas, weird grass into corn, and bitter melons into giant red sugar balls. Give humans enough time, we'll start modifying plants just because we're bored. And we have proved that ancient people really like watermelon. Archaeologists have found evidence of watermelons in ancient Egypt. In fact, watermelon seeds have been discovered in several ancient tombs, which means somebody looked at the afterlife and thought, you know what the king might need? A snack. Watermelons eventually spread throughout the Mediterranean, Middle East, and parts of Asia through trade. Because if history has taught us anything, it's that if humans find a food they enjoy, they will drag it to every corner of the planet. Sometimes peacefully, sometimes less peacefully, like a fat lady trying to be the first person to get a slice of cake. As cultivation improved, watermelons became sweeter and sweeter, and eventually they became the fruit we recognize today. But there's another weird thing about watermelons. They're huge. Some can weigh over 20 pounds. And humans looked at this enormous fruit, filled mostly with water, and collectively decided, yeah, I can eat half of that. No, you cannot. You are lying to yourself. You will eat 3 slices and then spend the next hour and a half feeling like you swallowed a whole fish tank. Watermelons became especially popular because they grow well in warm climates and produce a lot of food. They're also incredibly refreshing. There's a reason people associate watermelon with summer. It's literally over 90% water. Nature accidentally invented fruit juice with a carrying handle. And because humans cannot leave a good thing alone, we eventually started making seedless watermelon, which sounded impossible, because how do you make a fruit with no seeds? Science. Weird science to be specific. Modern seedless watermelons are created through selective breeding and chromosome trickery that I will not pretend to understand at all because I barely survive biology. I cheated for those who were curious. The important thing is that somebody looked at a watermelon and said, the fruit is great, but what if it fought back left? Today, millions upon millions of tons of watermelon are grown every year around the world. Entire industries depend on it. Farmers grow it on a massive scale. Competitive eaters somehow consume horrifying amounts of it. And every summer, grocery stores build a giant pyramid of watermelons, despite the fact one bad decision could turn the whole produce section to a fruit avalanche. And despite all our modern farmer techniques, the watermelon still represents something pretty amazing. It's one of humanity's oldest relationships with a fruit. A reminder that people thousands of years ago wanted the same things we do. Something sweet, something refreshing, and something to eat while sitting outside on a hot day. So next time you cut up a watermelon, remember, you're holding thousands of years of human experimentation, a fruit that traveled across continents, a crop that was slowly perfected over generations, and proof that if humans dislike something enough, we'll spend centuries selectively breeding it until it tastes better. And that is the history of watermelon. A story about agriculture, trade, and humanity's remarkable ability to turn a bitter survival fruit into one of summer's greatest snacks. Thank you, and as usual, like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments what food, ingredients, or drink you'd like me to cover next, because apparently the history of everything is way weirder than it has any right to be.